What's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about something. It's kind of a somewhat of a celebratory video, you could say, but at the same time, it's also something of a little bit of a discussion. So, like I've mentioned in one of my older videos, or I guess I don't even know how old it is at this point, probably like a few days, but I'd said that I was finally gonna get a job, and I've completed one of the next steps today, filling out some more paperwork, and then tomorrow I have to do some final things before orientation can hopefully start for it on Tuesday. And I'm mainly really excited about this because I can finally break the cycle that I've kind of been in since ever since I got back to Florida, honestly, which was mainly just me is is just get up, get out of bed, or yeah, get out of bed, get on PC, get off the PC, go to bed, and repeat. And even though I like obviously being on my PC and stuff, and then like watching YouTube in the background, and then like talking to friends, playing games with them, like I obviously enjoy doing that a lot, but it does get to a point where it's like it starts to feel very like repetitive, and not only repetitive, but it kind of just feels like you're kind of going nowhere with everything that's going on. And I uh definitely getting sick of that, but that should hopefully change when I get the job. But then you might be thinking, oh, well, if you just get the job, then it's just going to create another cycle, or it's just going to add the job to the cycle. It'll just be get up, get ready for job, work, come back, PC, and then bed, and then repeat at that point. And to a degree, you'd be you'd be right, but at the same time, it's like at least now I'm uh, actually doing something with myself instead of just sitting around and doing nothing with my life. Instead of like sitting around and just being a bum, I can actually get some money. Uh, but it's like I didn't really mind not doing any of that stuff, not having to like work anything like that. And the thing is, I don't really like hate not working or anything. It's just that things definitely started to feel very boring and repetitive, and it's like I definitely don't not enjoy talking to all my friends and everything like that. In fact, that sometimes the being like the best part of my day is being able to talk to them about their days, or talk to them about what's going on, get like suggestions from them to like read media, watch stuff, referee, and like I said, I love those guys. I love all those guys to death, and I would not replace them for the world. But like, oh my god, what are we doing? But like, it gets to a point where uh it kind of gets you kind of start to feel like you're not really doing anything with yourself when you're spending most of your time just sitting around, uh not really being committed to anything. And I hate that. I hate feeling like I'm like I get yeah, I kind of just hate feeling like I'm just useless. I'm kind of just sitting back here doing nothing, just leeching off of what everyone else is doing. I don't enjoy that at all, which is one of the main reasons why I'm glad I'm getting a job, outside of the very obvious facts of I need to end up sustaining myself for the things that I want to end up doing, which like would be things like obviously buying stuff for myself, maybe even moving out, I definitely do think one of my main goals is to end up moving out, but that's definitely at this current moment in time is definitely not like obtainable or possible. But I'm also the belief that you don't have to. There's no like rush to move out until you're like completely sustainable, like on your own. Because I think if people get a carry the misconception a lot of times that you really have to just be out of the house by a certain age. And I guess to an extent that does have some truth to it, because a lot of that is just, you need to be able to fend for yourself, and you're not always going to have people that are going to be constantly providing for you. You got to be able to provide for yourself. And I agree with that. I agree with that completely, but I also agree that there's no need to rush anything or trying to be out like super super quickly. Like it's just a lot of the times I feel like that ends up being the downfall of a lot of people is they try to take things a lot too fat or way too fast, and then it leads them to be not only, oh my god, what am I doing? It leads them to not only be unhappy, like very unhappy, but it leads to situations that they might not even be able to get out of. And that's definitely, you could say that's definitely one of like a big contributing factor to why a lot of people end up becoming like homeless or something, because they might have rushed the process of being able to sustain for themselves, and from the fact they're rushing it, now they have to live a very different way. Oh, you choking. They have to live a very different way to what they expected. And I guess it also comes down to not trying to put way too much expectations on yourself. And that's something that I talked about on the channel before. It's honestly one of my favorite videos I've ever made on the fact that expectations can make the difference in a lot of different scenarios. In that in that situation, I mainly talked about expectations in terms of like being looking forward to things in media, but it also, and I did mention that it also applies to a lot of things in life, and that would be one of those scenarios like you might expect to be out and about on your own by X age, but the circumstances that you're in or the circumstances that are surrounding you might not align perfectly with what you want to do. That was a bad pass. And it's completely fine to not have your expectations line up for things you want to do in life. It's just, it does end up becoming kind of demoralizing, which can definitely make things feel a lot worse than they actually are. Wow, he spun me. But I think as long as you're maintaining like good mental health as you're working towards the things you want to do, then there's no problem with taking things slowly. Because I think it's much better for you to want to take things slowly and be, dude, that's not even the touch I'd made. But it's a lot better to take things slowly and be much more comfortable with yourself and your situation than try to rush and, dude, that was a horrible pass, and try to rush and be get this, oh, you can do it like ahead of the curve and things like that, but then doing stuff like that can end up leading to really bad scenarios that you would have never even expected. And like I've talked to like two of my friends that have, they're in pretty like different situations, but then when it comes to like working and stuff, it overlaps pretty well with the fact that the both of them just like things didn't play out the way that they panned out, and it led to them just being unsatisfied, unhappy. Like with Baden, there was at one point where he had two jobs, and he was obviously making plenty of money from it. Bro, are my inputs like good? But like he was obviously making plenty of money from having two jobs, and understandably so. But then it was getting to points where anytime he'd come back, he'd not only come back like super late, but a lot of the time he'd be like pretty unhappy with the situation that he was in, which you think to yourself like, well, you're making a lot more money than if you would just have having one job. Why? What purpose would you have to be unhappy? But it's like that's where you have to take into account like the mental strain of having multiple jobs, because having one job, of course, is just stressful enough, especially if you don't necessarily enjoy said job. But then having to have two jobs on top of that, it gets to a point where you're not you're just not enjoying your life, and it can bleed over into how you interact with friends, how you interact with family, and how you just like think about yourself in general. It ends up just being a recipe for like disaster, in my opinion. And we saw it on full display with him, where there'd be nights he'd come back just very unmotivated, very tired. There was points where you'd just be very burnt out, and it wasn't really nice. It just was not. It didn't feel good to see him like that. It felt awful seeing him like that in that scenario, because I know how he is when he's like super happy, enjoying his time with us, and it just did not look. It was just a bad look overall. Now with the other friend is with Hayden, it's like it's a scenario where his situation I think is definitely a lot more complicated, where he has personal stuff that he's trying to better himself with, and and there was also a point where he had two jobs, but now he's at the point where he has to find a different one, and with on top of not only having to find another one, all the life stuff that he's been going through stacking on top of that has been making things just really really difficult to like handle. And are you serious, dude? Anyway, it's just been making things very difficult to handle in terms of dealing with all the stuff around him and like surrounding us, and not like directly related to what I'm talking about, but like I think just us as a group, it's gotten to certain points where we've definitely like uh kind of been acting like a bit differently lately, whether it's just naturally like growing up and stuff like that, or just like a childish outburst that he definitely understood was wrong like almost immediately after. It's like all of that stuff kind of like piles up, and it kind of makes you think like, will this sort of stuff like break the stuff what we have had going on for years at this point over something like honestly like trivial. And it's just something to consider. Like I think he asked me earlier, or he asked us earlier when we were sitting in the voice chat. Hayden asked for, it's like you Ref, thank you. He asked us like, do you feel like things are like switching up, and how are things like switching up between all of us, and how like have you guys like noticed it or not? I was like, at first I was like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. But then as he explained more, because it's like he doesn't want to go through the thoughts or the experience of having to like lose friends again. And I like 1,000,000% sympathize with that because of I understand like how understand how like demoralizing and just awful getting kicked out of the friend group is. And I would not wish that on like anyone, honestly. It doesn't feel fun. You just start to feel lonely, and overall it just honestly like destroys your mental because then it starts to make you think like if it happens once, you're kind of just like, oh, it's just differences, things like that. But then if it starts happening like multiple times, you start to really think like, am I like the common denominator in this situation? Like, am I doing something wrong? Is there something that I'm like missing? It really like makes you think about like some of the choices that you've made in comparison with everyone else. And like a lot of the times, especially with him, he's offsides. There's been situations where it's like it's not even really your fault and there's nothing much you can do about it. But like those thoughts end up like piling up over time, and it becomes a situation of like, is it really my fault? Like, is this really because of me? And I definitely don't want that to become the situation with any of us, because that would honestly destroy me, because at that point I truly have no friends. It would literally just be me, myself, and I at that point. And that's the last thing I want, because it was bad enough being in a situation where I like, because the main situation that happened like I think it was it was my first year of college, was like, wasn't my yeah my first year of college. It was like, bro, in like the span of like a week, not only do I lose uh not only do I lose my friend that I've known since like the start of middle school over something relatively petty, I lose my the girlfriend that I had at the time, and it was 1,000,000% my fault, and it still is my fault. I'm not gonna try and like backtrack on that to make the story sappier. It was completely my doing. And then I did like almost like the same day, I lose my roommate without any like rhyme or reason. I get no heads up at all, like nothing, no notification. And to this day, I still don't know the reason. I'll probably never know the reason. And I just gotta come to terms with that. But I really just say all that to say that I'm very glad that I have gotten as far as I have in this like job process, and I'm most likely gonna end up starting very soon. And I'm really just ready to I'm ready to start working again, and not be a broke bum. I'll instead just be a bum. Maybe not that harsh, but you understand what I'm trying to say. But I think that's probably gonna do it for me. I hope you guys had a great day, honestly. Make sure to like and subscribe, share the channel, and I will let me know if you guys enjoy this style of video of live recording over just voiceovers, because I honestly like it because it allows me to play different games besides Fortnite. I probably could do one of these with Fortnite. It would probably be a lot easier because it'd be like a lot more active, but that's up to you guys, honestly. I don't know about it because I just don't like playing solos. Solos, it's just the solo experience is not nice in Fortnite. But like I said, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel. Make sure you have a great day, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow.